Hi, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragons Den. I want to thank everyone who's here. I want to thank everyone who comes and watches the show, whether it's live or later on. And I want to thank you not only for showing support, but for also liking and sharing and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can get notifications direct and instead of having to wait for you to remember when it's out because you never know who I have or what I have, right? So tonight we have a very special guest who has brought my passion back about being a paralegal, about when I studied to be a private eye, when I almost took my license, and then when I was helping um, investigators with cold cases or cases that abductions that were happening at that moment, as a medium, as a remote viewer, to try to find hopefully the people alive or the kids alive, but in some cases, unfortunately, where the body was and the evidence. So tonight I am welcoming Melissa Phelan, crime analyst. Welcome. How are you today?
Glenda, I'm fantastic. It's so great to be here with you and really happy to hear that you're back at it, mentally at least thinking about what it takes to use that part of your brain to
oh,
achieve greatness on behalf of other people. I mean, it's
it was
awesome.
it was always great, always great. And even when I was doing it as a medium, I kind of stopped now because a little hectic with a lot of stuff. But when I was doing it as a medium, it was great because we joined together and we kind of saw where the steps were, and some of us could hone into the person who did it and see through their eyes. So we were able to count how many steps they took from the road and where they turned and so on, so on. So it was always interesting, very interesting. So, but
What's something
no,
that you remember the most about that? I'm just more curious
the
now.
most
Yeah, like
okay
what are some things that stand out to you when you think back in the day when you were tapped into that
when
space?
we
Other people.
were actually able to find the child
Wow.
that they thought that he thought that, especially a he, that they thought that they were just the child was there, they were going to abuse it, and we got there in time, or they were hiding it to then kill or sell, and we got there in time. So that's what I remember the most.
Wow.
Just bringing back home, alive or not, so the family can have closure no matter what it is or how it is. So,
So
but enough
powerful.
about me. Enough about me. What about you? I want to hear all about you because I'm excited. It's like my little passion trip here.
Well, I mean, it's great to be here with you, and I'm always happy to inspire that in other people, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
creatively, friends, just whatever energy is present. So, thank you for having me here to talk about who I am.
Oh, thank you for coming. Really. I know that last week you weren't feeling well, and that's why
Mm.
we decided that, this week would be the best week. It's divine timing, isn't it? Isn't
Well,
that
here
how
I am.
it is?
That's how it goes. So, I was bummed to not be here last week, but here we are, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's all.
glad to be here.
Yes. So, how did you come into this line of work?
It was an accident, even though I grew up reading Nancy Drew from first grade. I remember I had hundreds of books under my bed, and that was the majority of them. They used to have those little under bed storage bins.
Yep.
And I thought it was really cool, the idea of being a female detective. And, I grew up thinking I could be anything in the world. So that was, I guess, my first desire. And I took one of those tests that you take where it predicts what you'll be,
Mhm.
and one of them was a detective, which I thought
Mm.
was interesting. And then I kinda just put it in the back of my head, I went through high school and I became very creative. I tapped into music and I love to sing, and then I went to college and I was interested in politics originally, and then I got away from that. I studied it, but I went into pre-law, and then
Mhm.
I considered taking that path. And then life happened. I ended up joining a blues band. So I left college and was preparing to tour and thinking I was going to be living this rock star dream, which I've done a few times in my own way. But I got away from that and I started to tap into exploring the mind. I
Mhm.
became obsessed with studying military technology, understanding what they understood about the mind through that. So that was
Mhm.
kind of how it started for me at 19, going down a rabbit hole, so to speak, of understanding that consciousness is very mysterious. And so
Mhm.
I started to read cards, which was my family was not thrilled about because I was raised Catholic. And someone gave me some cards. I remember it was my friend's mom, and I kind of thought I was like, "This lady's interesting," because I come from 13 years of Catholic school, and but that changed my life. I was able to get in front of people and have a tool to
Mhm.
explore the mind. So that's what I've been doing. I mean, I'm a researcher of the mind. That's
Right.
first and foremost what I do. And then by 23, I was working cold cases. I'm
Cool.
38 now, so I've been in it a while. Um,
Mhm.
I've seen some things, let me tell you. Sometimes things I wish I hadn't seen, but here we are,
Right.
and it's beneficial. Things either make you or break you in life, and so
Mhm.
I choose to be made. Every day I wake up and I choose to work, through have God work through me, I guess, is what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I was also a pre-law,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's just things happen, and I stayed in the law office, but as a paralegal,
Mhm.
and instead of going to law school and all that other stuff. It's life just throws you sometimes, but you get to where you need to be or where you're supposed to be.
It's true.
And so what are like some interesting case that you can talk about, or in general? You don't even have to go to specifics if you can't, but
Sure. Well, a lot of the stuff that I do is confidential. There
mm,
are some cases that I will look at on my own, high
mhm,
profile cases. So
mhm,
those are ones I feel comfortable talking about. But in general, what I do is I come in, I work with very limited information. So I like to have at least a photo in the last known location. I find that's very powerful for me. But
mhm,
what I do is I create in-depth analysis. I do criminal analysis. Usually, like the one I'm working on right now is over 100 pages. It just comes together once I get into my method.
right,
But I do blend the unconventional, like remote viewing. I don't
mhm,
like the labels, but that's what people call it.
right, right. Yeah,
Especially in
kind
law
of.
enforcement. I'm like, I'm a remote viewer. They're like, I gotta go. You know what I mean? Like, oh, where's the evidence? And I'm like, but this is good work. And then you know how it goes. So
Yeah, yep, yep.
I
I
hate
know.
those labels.
I
No,
know.
I am a crime analyst. Thank you.
Uh,
But ultimately what I do is, I come in and
mhm.
I have my process that I get into, and I do it all remotely. I have gone on site, but it's often dangerous for me. I mean, I have a pretty wicked reputation now for being a little too good. So sorry about it. No, I'm playing. But I enjoy what I do. I try to have a sense of humor, and God has
Mhm.
blessed me with an interesting sense of humor. But ultimately, I try to bring the best of myself to every case. I love these people, and
Right.
that's why I decided to talk to you because I knew that you try to push the bounds of what we believe is possible with these
Yes.
conversations you're having. I love that. I love that. I love that people that don't care if they're controversial. It's like fuck it. Here we are.
I'm
The
just
proof's in the pudding.
presenting another aspect, another way of looking at things, another frame of reference, and it's up to them, the audience, to decide whether they go that way or not, or they just tuck it away. So, I mean, I went to Catholic school. I even went to an all girls high school, Catholic
So
all
did I.
girls high school. So, yes, you can understand. You find more rough. roughness in those high schools than you do in there.
You do. I
People
mean,
that
I'm sure people would
are
disagree with that from the
right,
street,
but
but like, we made
yes,
it, okay.
yeah, we made it, but
We've all done our time.
it was rough. It was rough, very rough. But and you thought that, oh, they're sending you. Your parents thought, oh, they were sending her here. She'll be okay. She should be safe. None of this, none of that. And sometimes you like, if you only knew, mom and dad, what went on in here. So, but I guess they
It
all,
just sharpened that sword to navigate life with, all right?
yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
really did.
yeah.
That's the way I choose to look at it.
Oh no, definitely. They definitely opened your eye. At least they did to me. They opened my eyes up and they showed me that it wasn't as the bubble that they were trying to keep me in.
Mhm.
So, to wake up and look around, be more aware. So,
Yes.
um,
Well, and that
so
awareness is kind of what's going on over here, a little too aware. And that's kind of what it comes down to is I believe because I got away from the cards, I had
right.
too many people try to chase me out with holy water over the days, smack me with the Bible straight up across the face. We're talking like that. I'm kidding, but it might as well have been
Right,
that.
but it's pretty close though.
Get her out of my house. This woman's on some devil stuff. Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, these are paper, ma'am. But at the end of the day, people believe what they're going to. So I
Right,
respect that. I
right,
don't use cards. I'll still use them if friends want them, but I don't need it. I started to look at photos and I would advertise on Facebook. So this
right,
was over 10 years ago. And I
right.
never took money for almost 10 years because I wasn't convinced. I'm a skeptic at heart. I was like, this isn't real. And then I started to remote view. The first time I remote viewed was in 2017, where
Hmm.
I used this method. And it took me 2 minutes to find the location of a missing woman. I knew that she was in the park, that she was in the river in this area in the Midwest. And I told about 10 of my friends. We had like mimosas. It was a brunch thing, all the girls are together. And I'm like, by the way, this girl's dead in this park and I'm going to go find her. And it's January. I mean, I'm not smiling about that fact, but they were like, "You're crazy," because I keep people around me that don't play. Like, if I'm tripping out, they're gonna be like, "Melissa, reel it in."
Yeah.
So ultimately, I went over back to my house afterwards with a friend of mine, and she's like, "You really think she's out there?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And they pulled her out a couple months later from the exact spot, exact park, and my phone was blazing off the hook. All 10 people are like, "How did you know that shit? How did you do this?" I don't know. So that's where it started. It's kinda like that in that one movie when he's like, "It starts." I mean, it was like that, and I'm like, "Well, I didn't really try, so can I do something else?" And then what it comes down to is I'm an overachiever and
Mhm.
I'm a workaholic, so that combined apparently scares the living shit out of everybody, so here we are. But that was the first time I did it. It's been done many times since,
Right.
and sometimes we're still waiting to figure out if it was real. And I say real as in like, how close am I? Um, I've, I'm a very bold person, but I can't go trespass and dig up bodies on private
No,
property. So sometimes it
a little
gets
sticky.
complicated.
Yeah, a little sticky there. Yeah. And people may come with guns at you and
Well, people definitely know who I am, so it's not an easy thing to get away with. I could wear a wig and maybe a mask, but ultimately doing the reports and the way that this has advanced over the years and
Mhm.
I'm really here to talk to people about the power of one ordinary woman to do extraordinary things because I
Mhm.
give a shit, because I care so much about these people. I don't
Mhm.
care if they're here or not, their families aren't here. I care so much. And I have to reel that part in, but there are parts of my process where I go full blown and I'm feeling it all.
Right.
And, I'm really fortunate. One of our mutual friends, Gypsy Jules, her
Mhm.
and I have teamed up and we're about to be doing this great show, Mysteries of the Missing. And
Mhm.
we are not only just looking for these people, we're not talking about these cases. We are boots on the ground. We are out there using these methods to do incredible things. And it's just like, there's nothing like it. Right now, the work I've been doing, it's
Mm-hmm.
been the honor of my life. And it's been, frankly, very easy. So I'm here to tell people that you just have to believe in yourself. Like, I know that's so corny, but you have to believe that you're more than people have told you. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
somebody listening to this has had a great life and they know they're amazing,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of people that they don't know what they can do and just why God brought them through so much in their life.
Right.
And that's the reason I'm still here right now. I can't believe it, but here I am. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I say, it's an honor, it's a vocation. Every day I wake up and I have something to live for. And I'm a mother. That's the best thing in the world. This is probably what changed me and made my DNA, I believe my DNA changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I had him, it was just like, it couldn't be stopped. The,
Mm-hmm.
the way my brain was working, the ability to tune in. So that's kind of what is so important. I feel a lot of people that support me, they say, this show will be successful because people need to see someone like you. They
Mm-hmm.
need to be inspired. And yes, this is a dangerous field. What I do, I risk my life every day. I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I would never change what I've done. I would maybe don't do it the way I've done. I've made some mistakes in my life. You know, sometimes you can't take the law into your own hands by any means. So don't read me wrong on that. But sometimes when you see the truth and there's nothing you can do about it, some of these perps are so bold and so in your face, and they
Mm-hmm.
let you know they're never going to stop. Well, guess
Mm-hmm.
what, guys? You got no choice now
Mm-hmm.
because here we are. This is the time. We are in a new world. We are in
Yep.
a new world. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, what that world is going to look like. I believe in it. I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't have a choice but to behave. I don't care if they want to or not. Could care less, y'all. Make your money somewhere else. Stop
Mm-hmm.
making it off of human lives. We are
Yes.
not commodities, and quit insulting our intelligence. I
Mm.
don't stand for it. So that's my little soapy soapbox because I'm going to lather them up with it. And if they don't listen, they can choke on the soap bar for all I care. And I'll be nice about it. We're talking about policy changing here.
What flavor do you want?
I think lavender smells nice. Maybe it'll help
Yeah.
you relax about the
Yes.
truth.
There you go. There you
Oh
go.
my God.
But
But
it's true. A lot of people, especially in the United States, don't really realize that human trafficking happens everywhere. You know, all
oh, yeah.
these missing people, especially kids, they are probably being sold. If they're not dead, they're sold someplace for slavery, for God knows, sex, whatever. And people get blinded. Like, yes, we are big. We're very, we have a lot going on in this country and all that other stuff, and we have freedoms. But it happens here just like it happens everywhere else. The only difference is that here they have more money to hide it a little better.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and when they are from other places that are, not as uh, happy in money, as they say here, they then cannot hide it as well. And they don't care over there. They won't get stopped. A
Yeah.
lot of families, they're so poor that one child goes missing, not that that doesn't hurt, but they kind of look at it as, okay, one less to feed.
Yes.
And what can we do? The law doesn't do anything. We don't pay them enough, and they come, the people who are selling, abducting and selling, they come, they pay those authorities, and voila, and then they're gone.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's the truth is this is a very difficult conversation for people to have, especially
Mm-hmm.
in America. they have no problem talking about missing children. That makes them less uncomfortable, but they don't understand that the pillar of this is missing children.
Yeah.
So, and oftentimes people do not understand what human trafficking is.
Right.
They have a certain idea in their mind. They don't realize that it is in every city, every small town. It's 2 blocks over. It's within a
Mm-hmm.
mile radius. A child is being harmed if we want to focus on children.
Mm-hmm.
And the statistics, we couldn't possibly know what those are.
No.
And when you look at Amber Alert, I found this out. Um, they only have an Amber Alert going off for a very small percentage. It was like under 5% of missing children.
Yep.
It's a very difficult path to navigate when a child goes missing or a loved one. I speak to
Mm-hmm.
people every day whose loved one's been gone for months and they believe they're dead or whatever, and they missed holidays, which they never did, whatever the situation, and the cops won't even take a report. I mean,
No.
and I'm not here, I do not speak out against the police. I work in coordination. I'm
Yeah.
here to work on repairing that trust, those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear it every single day. And
And,
it makes people lose faith. It really does.
and sometimes it's not that that particular police department or police officer doesn't care. It's that they're overloaded.
Yes.
They're underpaid, overloaded. They could be working so many hours that they just on what's happening at the moment that they can't focus on going back, continuously going back. And that's why some cases that are cold cases are resolved 30 years later is because that officer kept it in his desk or her desk and kept looking at it, trying to pinpoint any little clues that they missed the first time, first
Mhm.
100 times that they looked at it, whatever. And you never know. There could be all of a sudden, progress, DNA now, right? Testing. Now all of a sudden, you have something from 30 years ago. Let's hope that it still has good DNA, that we could still do it. And voila, and that's how they could match the perps versus the victims,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And the
So,
latest and greatest technology right now is something even a lot of these criminals, they never saw coming. And that's why cold cases are so important. I mean,
mm-hmm,
they're so important because you never know what it's connected to. I mean, I've been investigating criminal networks. They've been alive and well for 60 plus years, some of them. I mean, we're talking like these people pass this torch down.
mm-hmm,
This is a sick game. And it's just part of it. People are like, sometimes when they really hear about what I'm doing, it scares them. A lot of my friends, I have certain friends where they just don't, I know I'm not going to talk about work with them. I know I'm not really, I'm like, will you check out the show? Will you check out this? But it's like at the end of the day, people have their boundaries. So I like to
right,
respect those. And even
right,
when it comes to talking about remote viewing, here I am. And I know that there's a lot of people that might not want me to talk about this, but
mm-hmm,
this is who I am. And I don't need anybody's opinion
mm-hmm,
um to be in a certain place for me to be good at my job. So
right,
if you don't like me, okay, that's cool. There's going to be plenty of people, and I don't live my life focusing on that. I care more about how I feel about myself at the end of the day. Can I
mm-hmm,
stand myself? Am I proud of the person that I am? And
exactly.
so that helps me sustain a lot of the haters out here because haters gonna hate.
Oh,
And
definitely. Always, always. And the
no,
worst part
especially
about
in
it
this
is,
game.
especially if you're a woman,
Yes,
you're hated by the women and the men. Not
it's
just,
true.
you would think that you would be in competition with the men, but then you have the women who are like, oh, look at her, she's getting all this attention and all this other stuff. And you're like, I'm not doing this for the attention.
You don't want this attention.
No.
There's a cost to be the boss, okay? Nobody want No, I'm just playing. But no, for real. The thing is why don't you just let people be their greatest? Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody knows the sacrifices that someone else has made to walk a path, walk a mile, walk a path
Right.
in my shoe, whatever.
Right.
You might be eating squirrels in the woods by the time you're done because you'll be so terrified. Some people, they just can't hang. And I wouldn't recommend my path. I mean, I would recommend you follow your heart If
Right.
being in a forensic investigator or a profiler is where you go, hell yeah. But sometimes we have to rise up from the challenges that life has given us.
Mhm.
Um, 10 years ago, I had never had a loved one murdered. I've had 2 loved ones murdered since.
Mm.
It's something that, I live with every day, but it made me understand something. I'm in a really shitty club, but you know what? Those people really needed me to be there. So I embraced
Mhm.
that suffering instead of letting it take me to the ground. And some days it takes me right where it needs to. I
Right.
might be on the ground. It might be like it was just yesterday, but
Mhm.
that's okay. You have to honor those feelings. Men and women, we in between whoever you are, honor that. Honor who
Mhm.
you are. You don't have to be over
Exactly.
the top. It's just like you were saying earlier. This isn't about attention. I don't want to be
No.
on TV. I will straight up tell you, I'm having Gypsy on the phone with me every day. I'm like, you know what? I could just be in the background, whatever. It's like, but who cares? You know,
Right. Right.
be who you are, own
Mm.
it, and
Exactly.
every person's camera ready. At the end of the day, we're camera ready if we gotta be, because we're literally at war. I mean, no matter
Mm.
what people say, we are in a war. It's a spiritual war.
Mhm.
And
Yes, we are.
shield up, baby. Shield the
Exactly.
fuck up.
Mhm.
Don't
Yep.
underestimate what's going on out here.
No.
And I think that the more that we can individually be ourselves and care about other people,
Mhm.
like they're our own family, perhaps. Maybe just shift your lens a little bit.
Right.
We can shake people awake from this.
Mhm.
Because how are people not under mind control? Okay, I'm gonna dare have this conversation because it's
Okay, go
important.
ahead for it. Go ahead for it. Come on, let's go.
With everything that we know, we
Mhm.
have to wake up to the fact. I'm not gonna say be woke, all that shit. I hate that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we must open our eyes and look to each other and say, is this really happening? Yes. Yes, it
Mhm.
is. Part of my language. Yes, motherfucker, it is.
Mhm.
So, like it or not,
Yeah.
and I don't have to get into the deep, but we know we've proven scientifically,
Mhm.
the subliminal influence on the mind. We
Mhm.
know the dangers of Wi-Fi. I won't even get into all the conspiracy aspects. We're talking about science and the dangers of Wi-Fi that has been studied for 30 years in other countries. And they
Mhm.
ask the FCC all the time, hey guys, why haven't you told the American people from the 90s when we knew about this that this shit was poison?
Mhm.
Crickets. Nobody talks about it. And I love the US. So we're just talking, it's the big bad wolf.
Right. Right.
Somebody's over there ignoring all this information, okay? It ain't the current government. I'm not getting into that shit. And
No.
neither are you. You
No.
know what I mean?
No.
It's like,
Exactly.
and so I'm going to stop for a second. Does this make sense to you, Glenda? Or,
It makes sense that we have to get out of our own way, learn who we are, grow into our own shoes, and forget the box that we were put into so we could be controlled,
yes.
basically.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think
You
it's
hit
time
it real
for
point.
people to just rip that box out, get out of there, go into your own thing, and just shine the way you need to.
And it doesn't, like, there's no time like right now. I work with people every day. I've had my own losses like most people. We go through life. Death is a
Hmm.
part of life.
Hmm.
And there is a lot of reasons to be afraid to step into whatever God's calling you to do. And whatever God is to you, I have my belief systems.
Right.
I love talking to people that they don't know where they're going. I guess that's like my favorite type of person. That's why I worked in the funeral industry. I've worked in complicated places, male dominated industries, things like that, because of the challenge of understanding what are we truly up against out here.
Hmm.
And what you were saying earlier about breaking out of that box, you are not what anyone tells you you are. You are what you believe. And
Hmm.
your beliefs can change. They
Yes,
can
they can.
change.
Yes.
And do not let any of these things that in the past, like, yes, this is current day. There's a lot of things going on. And I am a white woman from the Midwest. So I understand that I'm not exactly the person to deliver this, but I do believe we are in class biological warfare. I do not believe that this is a race issue.
Mm.
I believe that we are all under attack, so to speak. And I care about people. So, you know what I mean? If
Mhm.
no matter what, I think that's a true leader should care. And I've been a
Exactly.
leader
Yeah.
to many people in my life.
Right.
And I've decided that, yes, I am a leader. And
Mhm.
so are you. And so I'm sure people hearing this, they're going to know, yeah, I am too.
Mhm.
And you might just
Mhm.
hear a little bit of it inside right now. Deep down
Mm.
inside, you might just hear it and it's going to start beating like a drum. And I'm telling you guys, every day you'll wake up. Just open up to the possibility. Just believe
Yes.
maybe it's possible. That's all you got to do. That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. And unfortunately, people get stuck in that broken record, as they say, routine. They just like to stay in their own little lane, their own little box. Pick a fence with a lot of bunch of flowers, and never see beyond that. There's a lot going on in this world, and there's a lot that we do not. I guess it's a self defense mechanism that they can't accept that it's happening. Because if you hear of a child being abducted in your own neighborhood, all of a sudden all the kids are being watched upon and all this other stuff. But before that, the kids will run out, come back real late, they won't keep in touch with their parents. And even now, it's like you have to teach your kids to be street smart, book smart, smart just in general, to know what's around, how to wiggle around life,
Mhm.
and but they also have to have codes, right? Because they go to school, and somebody goes and says, "Oh, your mother told me to pick you up." Okay, give me the code. What did she say? Because we have this going. So then you don't get into the problem of being abducted. That child knows that if the mother really needs this person to pick them up, they're going to have a certain code.
Yes.
And then this way, the child would say, okay, I really don't know you, but you got the code, so I could trust this. And those are the conversations parents need to have with their children. That not everybody who gives them a lollipop or is asking them to look for a puppy is a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, and now we're faced with children having cell phones. And so
mhm.
the reason why we've become such a large corridor for trafficking as a country has to do with the fact that all of this is taking place online, and the
Mhm.
exploitation and the doxing and being able to track where these children are and
Mhm.
waiting for the prime time and grooming them. And there's just so many factors. So if only just a simple, like I grew up in the 90s.
Right.
So I used to leave at in the morning and I'd come back, 10 hours later for dinner or
Right.
whatever. I got all my meals, but at the end of the day, it's like you come back and you're like you're thinking about, well, I never checked in, or I was out there in the creek with my brothers all day. Like I never thought once about
Right.
it. It just
Right.
wasn't something that you don't want to scare people. It's like an alarmist. People think you're like whenever if people really thought about because your mind changes, especially when you work in this, you go everywhere and you're like in the room, you're like, all right, there's the exit. I got this guy over here, and I'm chilling out most of the time, but I'm ready to
and,
go. You have to be like,
and then you also go, okay, that thing could hit you in your head, that they could take that and stab you, and they could do this, and you're just like, and everybody's looking at you, and you're just like smiling, grinning while you're checking the whole exit plan. You have
while you're
an
planning
exit
the death
plan.
of everyone in the room.
No, but you have to defend yourself, so you got to know where to escape. So, uh,
Exactly.
but
Yeah, you're
it's
just being
true.
prepared.
We're
Yeah.
really we have seen. I know I have seen a lot. I'm sure you have seen a lot too. So we're kind of tainted to the point where trust is a word so small, but yet very hard to to
Tainted.
taint it.
No, you know what? It's okay. I accept I got a little jade in my step. But at the end of the day, your relationships are a lot deeper, they're a lot
Right.
sweeter.
Mhm.
Um, being in this, and especially in the last few years, I've been working a lot of child abductions,
Right.
child murders, and I'm a mother, and so it's very difficult at times, to be there. You see
Mhm.
these children and your own children. You wonder, how is this even possible that someone could be this sick? But ultimately, I've really stepped into something. I think that's where I need to be. And I
Mhm.
need to be working with people as much as I can and having these difficult conversations. And
Mhm.
that's why doing the expert led think tanks is something that is just, it's a necessary thing that we have to do. And
Yep.
I know that there are a lot of people that can do it better than me. So I'm just going to get them all in the same room and make sure they have a great time and that they're respected while we do our thing as a team.
Uh, I don't know if doing it better than you, they do it different. That's all.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
everybody has their own particular little dot in the ruler of gifts, as they say.
Mhm.
So, you may see the car and the color of the car, and somebody may even see the license plate. And so you start putting all the little details together. The mileage, somebody else can look at the dash and say, okay, they traveled 25 miles and it says north or whatever, because now all the dashboards have all this beeping at you which way you're going, what direction, and all that other stuff. Maybe somebody could see the VIN number. You never know. So you put all that together and you solve the case.
Yes. And I've
And
seen
then,
people do amazing things, even on a weekend. Some of these guys, 40 guys
mhm,
get together, experts, and they're not even testing they're not even calling this like a psychic huddle, right? They're not like,
no,
but that's what they're doing. Their energy
right.
combined, that
Hmm.
expertise in action, it creates an energy that is so
Hmm.
powerful. And that's what you're talking about. And
Hmm.
it's, I've seen what one woman can do, just being, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing here? And it's always verifiable. I mean,
Hmm.
and then you just practically apply it. Like, I'm just practically applying those gifts that I naturally have,
Right.
and I'm applying those to forensic cold
Hmm.
case investigation, right? Um, Becoming an evidence and documents examiner the last couple of years, seeing that I can decode ciphers. I don't know how I'm doing it, but it's real. It's real,
Hmm.
and it is legitimate work.
Oh yeah.
And I needed to be convinced of that, frankly. I mean, I want to make sure that I'm always truly representing who I am. If I say I can do this, I better be able to do it.
Hmm.
But it's just
Hmm.
getting weirder by the day. So
Yeah, well, there's a lot more weirdness out here nowadays.
I
you know,
know.
well, we're like you said, we're in a spiritual war, so there's a lot more coming out. There's a lot more at the surface that normally you wouldn't see or feel or anything like that. People are getting a lot more brazen and just doing it right in front of you, and you're like, "You kidding me? You just did that? Like, I, what? You expect me just to close my eyes? Oh, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Here, see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil, that kind of thing. Come on."
I mean, it's wild out here for sure. And
Hmm.
the fact that it's kind of coming to a head where these people in power have been flexing in our faces, I mean, to an
Hmm.
extreme. And now you have a new Hollywood emerging, which is something that people probably never believed was possible.
Hmm.
And in regard to human trafficking, we know that those elite people are only 5% of the people, participating in this. The average American, and I'm white, but it's white guys, and they're doing it to their own children, I think is what the statistics say. They're trafficking their own children. So that is something really hard for people to believe. And it is what it is. That's the facts. I mean, I
Yeah,
hear experts talk about it all day. We can debate the percentages, but
right.
that is what's going on. So to see these guys who they're billionaires, some of these guys. And the fact
Mhm.
that we're starting to find out exactly who they are is very
Mhm.
powerful for human beings because these guys are controlling people's minds.
Mhm.
They're controlling culture, as they call it.
Mm. Yep. Yep.
The
Yep.
future generations, these are going to be some very confused people.
Yeah.
They are
And
right now,
and
aren't they?
and these generations that are coming now, anybody who's even say less than 10 years old, they came in for a spiritual war and they're like stuck in the middle of a major hurricane, never mind a war. So they're going like, okay, but I'm supposed to be walking here and I'm being pulled 20 different ways. So which way am I going? And
Mhm.
they're 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 going they're going to have to really fight for themselves. That's definite. That's definite.
And I believe many of them are.
Hmm.
We have teenagers like these younger generations. I'm almost 40, can't wait for my 40s. Um, but I think about what people are shouldering, even just my son, his awareness and the
Hmm.
questions that he asks, and he's asking the same questions that I am ultimately. These are It's such a young age, these children, they have the capability. We shouldn't
Yeah,
underestimate them, and we should be
exactly.
looking out for their minds. Get your kids away from those iPads. When you look at the statistics of who's using porn sites, those are children under 10. If you look
Mm,
at the statistics, why do we have this? And I'm not going to get in on my soapbox on that.
mm.
I'm no prude, but at the end of the day, you have to look at the science.
Right.
And when those neural pathways are destroyed, especially in children, they're not
Hmm.
coming back, they found. Even
Hmm.
cocaine, if you're smoking crack, you can get that shit back. Why
Mm.
can't they get it back with this content that they're looking at? And then we look at people like right now, I'm decoding serial killers. He's
Right.
going to remain nameless on here because he's not the only one.
Right.
Um, but ultimately, we wonder, how did these people get this messed up? Well, I mean, you think about this happened in their formative years of development. Most of these people took that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Their minds were so precious, and then one event. So imagine these children are looking at these images every day. I mean, we know some of the stuff out here. Even if you're not a mother, you're not a father, I don't care if you're a sex worker, children have no business looking at that.
No.
So we have to, I mean, we have the ability. It's just, there's just so much going on, and I care about kids the most.
Yeah.
So, and I believe someone who I love the most told me one time, she was like, it's one person at a time where you can make the most difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I need to be in front of more people. This was years ago. And I had to shift my attitude and realize that that day would come, perhaps, but
Mm-hmm.
it is about one person at a time.
It is.
Mm. And
It
even
is.
right now, hopefully this conversation's helping someone. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I could hope for. I mean,
Um, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Somewhere, deep down, that spark is waking up and it's starting to shine, and they're saying, "Wait a second, I, you know, I got gifts, and I've been seeing this, and I've been traveling these roads, and I feel like something keeps pulling me over here whenever I go on that path, and why is it?" And maybe they'll start to hone into their gifts and just letting it occur and really letting it all naturally bring them to where they're supposed to be.
exactly. And just please accept yourself for who you are. Whatever you're
Mhm.
hiding or you think that isn't good enough, I've done it. That's why I can talk to people about this. And I've been there. I've doubted myself. I've been on the couch believing I had no purpose. But that was a
Mhm.
lie I was telling myself. Maybe I just needed a Sunday off, but don't listen to that liar if you have one inside of you that tells you who you are isn't good enough.
Right, right.
And,
Yeah.
and every person, not everybody's going to be a crime fighter, but whatever it is, just go after it. Just do
And
it.
go, if it's your passion, you will be successful at it. Because success is not measured by the amount of money you get, or by it's how you feel at the end of the day. If you could put your head on that pillow and go to sleep without any interruptions, without any doubt, without any guilt, you're successful.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Some of the most successful people in the world I know, they drove a school bus and they felt like that was the greatest thing that they could. I mean, everybody's success is different.
exactly, exactly. So I'm going to put some of your contact info so
Mhm.
people can see and find you. It's also in the description. So if anybody is interested, her website, you can see it right there. And then she could also be found on LinkedIn, which is where the podcast is going to go on.
So there'll be a few different areas. The podcast is coming out first. It's going to be the launch is in 2 weeks. It's called Alternative Eye Beyond the File. So it's
Hmm.
a cold case podcast. I talk with experts. We talk about why cases aren't solved. We
Hmm.
analyze difficult cases, complex cases. So I'm really excited for that. It's definitely, these are people that know what they're doing, and they're the people to listen to if you love true crime, I guess, as they call it. I'm like, I don't understand what true crime is because I'm living in it, but I'm like, this is as true as this shit gets. So please check that out. But Mysteries of the Missing, it's being picked up right now. We're in pre-production.
Nice.
So another avenue to follow me is you can follow Alternative Eye 22 on Instagram.
On
So it's
Instagram. Okay.
Alternative EYE 22. Um,
Okay.
you will see updates on the show there. We'll
Hmm.
probably end up having a Mysteries of the Missing website and everything. So you guys will see that
Nice.
coming at you. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of exciting things happening with just some ordinary gals. So we're just moms. We're doing it out here, Gypsy and I. And so yeah, Gypsy Jules, check her out
Yeah.
too. She's amazing
She was
and she
on my
loves
show
you.
before. Oh, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful soul.
She
That's
really
for
is.
sure. Yeah. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Now, when is the podcast going to start? Like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, so June 2025 is what I said, but
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend I had some major fucking breaks, okay? And I'm just in all honesty, it's been very difficult um what I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a new look, doing a new forensic overlook of a notorious serial killer, finding out that he has bragged and killed more people, buried children. I was able to isolate the locations of where those are. So in season 1 of Mysteries of the Missing, that is what we are doing. We are going to
Good.
go out and find these girls. That is what
Okay.
I'm putting out into the world, and may angels bring it home. Um,
Mm,
we are going to bring these people home, and they're not the only ones. And it is, like I said, the honor of my life
mm,
that I've been able to do this, and that people have taken enough interest in what I'm doing to give me the platform. And I
mm-hmm.
won't let you guys down. I'm doing this for all of us. So we're going to do our
Yeah,
best.
and definitely to bring those souls home, right? So the families can finally have closure,
They
because
deserve it.
the not knowing is harder to deal with than knowing, okay, they're dead. Okay, you could have a place to bury them, or the remains, or whatever you want to do, but at least you could honor them in a different way. That desperation of not knowing, are they going to come one of these days?
Yes.
Am I going to go to the store or hear in the news about somebody who was in in a ship, and they found them, and they found a whole bunch of people? It's like it, the sense of relief, whether it's still going to be grief, but it does give them proper closure, so then they could move on someday.
Yes.
By honoring them, those that are gone, they will be able to bring the um, healing that needs to come. So,
Yes. And they deserve the accuracy. And
mhm,
with these new methods that we're exploring, I mean, they're not new, but we're having a new look at it. We're looking at crime through a new lens, and
mhm.
we're doing it in the public eye, and who knows where it will take us. I mean, we're on the edge of our seats, Gypsy and I, every day when I'll do it on the phone with her, and I'm like, "Please don't judge me. I don't know what's going to happen." And then I go into my process and we're just like, "What?" So
Mm,
at the end of the day, it'll be a pleasure to show people what we're doing.
I
And
can't wait. I can't
yeah,
wait. I'm
I'm excited,
really looking.
Glenda.
I am too. I can't wait to see you two work together too. You both have that same high energy, so this would be great.
Yeah, she's amazing. She inspires me, and I'm gonna learn about
Yeah.
metal detecting,
Oh, good.
and, my son's excited to do that, but I was like, "You're inspiring me to want to, like, learn this." Like, think about how many young women you've and men you've made, like, wanna come out here and do this. Like, this is so much fun. So, treasure hunting is a new thing too, and we're gonna do that a little bit on the show, and we
Good.
are hunting ultimately for the greatest treasures in the world. These people,
Exactly.
every human life matters, and if
Exactly.
we can find you, like, we're going to. We're not gonna stop. It's
Mm-hmm.
just
And
great.
and the best part is even with the metal detecting, once you get to the area, you never know who's wearing metal, right? When
So
they're
true.
dead, they could have
So
been
true.
wearing a belt
Yep.
and that could pop up. So you never know. Never know what you can use, right?
Well, stay tuned and see it happen live, you know? Well, I guess it won't be live when it's on TV,
Well, it's kind of
um,
life.
if you check out Alternative Eye Beyond the File, give it a chance. Take a look and
Mhm.
see what I'm doing. I'm having experts keep me in line, so if there's something that's not legit, they're gonna tell me, so cool with it.
Yeah, they're really going to say, "No, no, 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 that
You're gonna be
wasn't
like, "Try again."
correct. Try again. Take number 32." Okay, we'll do it again now.
They're like, "We'll believe it when we see it." So, I'd rather they think I'm crazy, please underestimate me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I I've known a lot of people also that used to impersonate children so they can get into that internet thing and let the perp draw them out and
Mhm.
meet them at a hotel or whatever, and then you see the police officers. A lot of people used to see that true crime type of thing on TV. Well, that does happen for real,
It
and
does.
there are a lot of men and women that may believe they're young. They make sure that their voice is young and they look as young and all that other stuff, so they can hopefully bring more people down. So,
Well, Chris Hansen, I think, just started that new show that he does, so he's been
mhm.
doing it a really long time. I remember
Yes.
2005, I saw him doing something like that, so
Yes.
and
Yes.
and it's alarming when you sit in those chat rooms. I've participated in that. I've
Mhm.
done some Sting stuff, just consulting and whatnot, and it is disturbing, and it is not going anywhere. So
No.
not having the conversations is not benefiting anyone.
No.
I was in the cab with someone once, and I said, "The US is one of the biggest child trafficking or sex trafficking hubs in the world." And he was like,
Mm,
"No, it's not." And I wasn't gonna get into a debate. I don't debate,
mhm.
I'm not here to debate it. But
Right.
ultimately, I was like, "Okay." And I just sat back. But, you know,
Yeah,
um, but
it's
yeah,
kinda rough out there.
it is rough
So,
out there.
yeah, so we have a couple of minutes, left. Anything you want to share that we haven't covered, with the audience, or any last minute wording?
We covered a lot of bases tonight, so whoever has hung on this long, well, buckle up because this is only the beginning. And, I think that right now a lot of people are going through some very difficult times. And
Mhm,
there are people out here that they care very much, and I'm one of them. I know Glenda
mhm,
cares.
mhm.
Gypsy Jewel, she cares. We all realize that we've been brought through our lives to be alive right now. And right
Exactly.
now is the time, y'all. So whatever tomorrow you wake up or if your day just started and there's something that you need to do, like I got to knock on the door, I got to go handle,
Yeah,
but ultimately whatever that is, just do it. Just do it.
exactly,
And if you
exactly.
need to watch this to be reminded, then be my guest
Mhm.
because it was
There
a
you
pleasure
go.
being Glenda's guest today.
Thank you for being here. I love it. It's great. It brings those that interesting side of me that not too many people see often.
Well, I've
'Cause
liked seeing whatever's coming out of you tonight. I've enjoyed it. So we should team up maybe, take
there
a
you
look at
go.
some things or just talk
There
about
you
whatever you're good at, whatever,
go. Yeah. Uh,
So
yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it.
it's been a pleasure talking to you. You're awesome.
Same, and anytime you wanna come back, just you know where to find me.
Well, we can probably drum up some interesting subjects. So, ooh,
Oh, yes, definitely.
I love that.
Well, I wanna thank everyone, and I wanna put up the, contact information again on Instagram, so please check her out, check the shows out. Don't forget that, you know, if it's unsaid, it isn't dealt with, and you can't just hide like an ostrich in the ground, put your head in the sand. You have to look at reality, and that's how we solve it. It isn't just by saying, "Oh no, it doesn't exist." By okay, no, that's not how it goes. You know how I always say that people wake up. So with that, and the second knock on the door, we
It's really you guys being called, okay?
there
Don't
you go.
underestimate.
That's it. We love you guys. We thank you for being here. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And as always, much love, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you,
Bye,
Melissa.
y'all. Thanks, Glenda.
Bye.
Bye.